Hey y'all, it's Ash. I'm going to not, I don't know if you can hear that. Hopefully you can't. I'm not going to apologize because my fiance told me to stop apologizing for things that I can't control because I put something in the description of my last two videos saying I was sorry about my lack of lip muscle messing up and the quality being bad, which is why I'm filming on my phone. So hopefully this is okay. I'm in like fluorescent lighting in the basement of my new house. So, and I'm holding my phone. Did I say that already? I don't know. I've been sick for the past 2 days. I'm a hot mess, but I'm not doing anything else because I can't work out and I can't clean and I can't shower because I had an episode, like I talked about in my last video, I had an episode yesterday and I thought it was from working out too hard. But then once I was done being sick, I popped back up and started doing stuff again. And I think that's why I got sick again this morning. So I'm trying to take it really easy. But if you know me, you know that I don't sit still. So hopefully this camera stuff is not bad. I'm like trying my best here, y'all. Okay, so today's video is going to be my law school experience. So I'm going to go into my background a little bit just to give you guys context because my experience is not a typical, I was technically a K through JD student, but it wasn't a typical experience. So I graduated high school at 16. I went to private school up until 8th grade. I was homeschooled for 2 years, ended up graduating at 16 because I just passed the test, right? I had to take the GED in my state, if you're wondering, for homeschool. I started to go to college online because I wanted to start college early, and then my parents were like, you're not going to college as a 16-year-old girl. Like, that's dangerous, you know? So they were like, you can do online college until you're 18 and then transfer. When I turned 18, I was like, two semesters from finishing. So I was like, I'm going to take a summer semester and the fall semester, and then I'm going to graduate. So I graduated at 19. And so I finished college at 19, right? And then I took about 2 years off to work and apply to veterinary school. I did pet care. And then I applied to veterinary school at 19, and they rejected me because I didn't have enough animal experience, which is fair because a lot of the students that applied had farm experience, blah, 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 and I only applied to one vet school. So I was like, I'm going to take off a little bit of time. I do not know what's on my laptop. That's a little frightening. I was like, I'm going to take off some time. I'm going to get some experience, and then I'm going to apply again. 2020, COVID hit, right? And then during that time, so I applied to vet school and I was like, I'm gonna go get experience. And then during that time when I was getting experience, I was offered a job in cybersecurity because my degrees are in cybersecurity. And just as I was about to start that job, COVID hit and I lost that job, and I decided not to go to vet school because vet school is very in-person, hands-on, blah, 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 right? I was like, what am I gonna do? So I was like, I'm gonna go get a master's in animal rights law. I was looking at a animal rights law master's as something to do in between, you know, that and vet school, and try to get myself into vet school. I'm going to try to make this shorter. This is becoming too long of a story. So as I was doing that, I got a scholarship for a master's degree in cybersecurity law at a different university. I was like, what the heck, I'll do it. Like, I've always kind of been interested in law. Let's see how this turns out. And it's in my field, right? So I was like, okay, I'll do this because I got a scholarship. I did it. I loved it. It was like my favorite thing in the world. I loved it so much more than veterinary sciences. I love animals. I love them. But there's something about law for me that I love so much more than medicine. So I finished my master's degree at 21 or 22. I have 22 on here, but it may have been 21. And then I immediately applied to a hybrid online in-person school, law school, because COVID was still ongoing, and then I was like not really sure I wanted to do it or if I was going to start working that cybersecurity job. So I was like, I'm going to do this, and that was just the best option for me, that online in-person law school. So when I started law school in 2021, school was completely online. We had no in-person classes. We had orientation the first week, and that was all day, like 8 hours a day, and we did lots of busy work. If I remember correctly, it may not have been like I don't think we were sitting in classes 8 hours a day, but I remember being like, this is like a full-time job for a week, right? Our classes as hybrid students were from 6:30 or 7 p.m. at night Eastern time to 9 p.m. Eastern time. And sometimes we had one class where we started at 6:30 and sometimes would go to like 10 or 11 just because our professor was really passionate. And I'm really glad that I stuck around for that, because when I got to bar prep, I actually ended up doing really well. I think I was in the top 8 students in that class. So I didn't do as well as I did in some other classes, but I still did fairly well. But I ended up doing like super well, like better than the classes I callied in bar prep. So I'm really glad that I actually like stayed and listened until like 10 or 11 at night, even though it was hard. But I didn't have a kid to take care of at that time, and I did I have a job? I don't think I had a job at that time. I think I started working again around that time. And then I had one class in my last semester of law school that started at 8 and went until 10, and that was solely because the professors were a couple and their daughter had dance class at 7, so they couldn't start it until 8. So, which is interesting because we kind of have to, I love those professors. They were very sweet and very nice, but it was kind of like, well, we have to move our stuff around for these classes. They just let you guys move your stuff around. Like, why doesn't the administration give us that, you know? So I took 3 classes per semester. I think the first semester was technically 4, but it was like a crap class, you know? But I took 3 classes per semester, and it was like a 3.5-year program, I believe, with summer semesters. And which worked for me at the time because I needed to stay in school until 26 for for benefits reasons. I will not go any further into that. However, at the end I decided that I wanted to take 4 classes per semester to speed up, and I did that. Our in-person classes when I started, were a full week of in-person classes, I think Monday through Sunday, but don't quote me on that. But that first semester, that's when we had those week-long classes, we didn't go in person because COVID was still ongoing. So we did those in-person classes over Zoom. It was just full 8-hour days. And I don't think we actually took up all those 8 hours, if I remember correctly. I think we had like decent breaks because I was like working out and stuff. So that was fun. But after my first semester, we changed the classes from full weeks to just weekends. So it would be Friday through Sunday or Saturday through Monday. Typically, it was Saturday through Monday. So my only in-person classes were Saturday through Monday when I went. Right before I graduated, literally I was supposed to graduate. So I did graduate. I graduated last fall. And in the summer, before the summer, we didn't go. We didn't have in-person classes. So the summer, they were like, we're changing it from one weekend every semester to one weekend per academic year. And we originally didn't have that weekend in the summer. And then I was like, well, I only have one weekend left anyways, because I'm graduating after the fall. So it doesn't matter. So the people in my cohort that were graduating in the spring did benefit because they didn't have to go in the fall. But I didn't benefit because I graduated in the fall. And the other, I think like 8 or 9 people that graduated in the fall with me also didn't benefit, which sucks. But it's fine. I lobbied for that my whole time. I was like, these in-person classes are so much. Especially when we adopted a little girl, it was like, I was like, I can't. Like, I need to be home and I need to be taking care of her. And, like, I just have life stuff going on. Like, I had a really flexible work schedule. I know a lot of people didn't. So it worked out for me because I could just be like, hey, I'm not going to be in town. But for a lot of people, it was, not great. But I'm glad that they changed it. I'm happy with that. And I'm grateful that the ABA approved that. So again, I chose that hybrid law program because when I started, COVID was still ongoing and I wanted the flexibility to both travel with my family. This is before we adopted the child, but I just wanted to be able to like travel and help out because there's other stuff going on in my family that I just wanted to be able to like be there and help. Of course, I couldn't travel and I can't travel now with them, but whatever. And then I wanted to also be able to go back to work if that job opportunity did come back. It ended up not coming back, so I ended up doing something different. I'm realizing like how disheveled I look. Y'all, I've been so sick. I'm sorry, okay? I'm trying. I'm not supposed to say sorry. My fiance is getting on to me about saying sorry for things I can't control. He's like, don't apologize. Embrace it. So I did expect law school to be much harder and more cutthroat, and also to have C's all the way through. I went into law school thinking, like they told me, you've always been at the top of your class. They told everybody this. You've always been at the top of your class, and this is all the people at the top of their class are now in here. You're going to be an average. And I was like, I'm going to get C's, but C's get degrees. And I was like, I'm okay with that. I'm going to work as hard as I can to not fail out. We had people leave, I don't think for academic reasons, but we had, I think, 4 or 5 people leave within that first year. I know in residential law school, it's a little bit higher, but we only had like 30 people in our cohort. But, anyways, moving on. I found the material really easy. Like the concepts were really, the way that they were taught to us, I guess, was like, I was like, okay, if you asked me what is negligence at the beginning of the semester, I would have been like, not being careful. But like going through those classes, I thought it was really easy to understand and to learn and to memorize. I just thought that there was a lot of material to get through and there's a lot of time involved. And especially in your first year, you don't know what's relevant and what's not, and you get better at that. And I'm still like, I outlined all the way through. I, did all the readings pretty much for every class other than my trial practice classes. I'm sorry. And my transactional drafting, I never bought the book. I read a PDF version of it that our classmates sent out, so I did learn, but legislation and transactional drafting I didn't do reading for, and I got really bad grades, so that was on me. I got C pluses, I think, in those. I never bought the book, sorry. And then the trial practice, civil trial practice, and criminal trial practice classes, I also didn't read the book because I didn't find them helpful, and I got good grades in those. Did I say that on my face? Anyways, and then there was one professional responsibility. I started reading professional responsibility, and after week 4, I was like failing, like literally on the verge of failing. So I stopped and I started doing like Barbary Kaplan, Themis. I feel like there was something else, but all the MPRE prep instead of reading, and that was better for me. So, but I did do all the readings for everything else and outlined. So I didn't get much better at sorting through what you need to do and what you don't need to do. But I did a little bit, I got a little bit better. I think we were all really competitive. Everybody was very type A motivated, like it was actually really inspiring to be around people who were so academically inclined and cared so much, like took care of each other and helped each other out. I love that. I didn't participate a lot in community stuff or like the group chat at all. Like I was probably the second most unsocial person in there. The other person that was like less social than me was like my law school bestie, and she never ever responded to anything. She never said anything. She didn't talk to anybody. Like I did a couple things once in a while, but this girl was like, she's like, I'm not getting involved. And I love her. She's the best. She was like she would text me about it and be like, did you see that? But I love it. I love that though, because we all care about each other, but we didn't have to be extroverts, it was great. So anyways, the C's, let's talk about the C's. Did I get C's? I only got 3 C's my whole time. Otherwise, I got all A's and B's, which really surprised me. That's kind of going back to, you have to work hard, but it's not as hard as you think. The C's I got were the summer I met my fiance, so when we started dating, and then the summer we got engaged. So the summer that we met, I was focusing on con law because I had con law in those 2 classes. It was legislation and transactional drafting. And I was really focused on con law because I was really struggling with it. And if you get below a C+, you have to take a remedial class, and I didn't want to take that. So I kind of did like some, what is it called? Triaging. I triaged it and I let those classes kind of fall by the wayside. Obviously, I didn't do the readings, and I was trying to prioritize time with my fiance because I was really excited about having such a great relationship after coming out of a really abusive, toxic relationship. So yeah. And then I probably could have done better had I not had him, but I would rather have him than have, all A's and B's. The third C I got was the summer we got engaged, and I didn't expect to get that grade. And so I got a C in one class. And I was like, okay, I had an A+ all the way through, and I get the curve, I get the finals, like 50%, but I felt like I did really well. Like, what happened? And so there ended up being an error in calculation for that grade. And the only way they caught it was because I met with my professor. So I do wish I had, it was the class that I got a C in was business orgs. So And I was like, I didn't try that hard, but I didn't feel like it was like C plus work. I thought it was more like a B minus work, you know? So I probably should have asked the professor, but I didn't want to deal with it. At the time, I was like, I am tired and I just don't want to deal with this class anymore. I feel like I did better than that, but I'm not going to ask questions because I just don't want to deal with it. All right, changing angles here. Oh, you can see the thing. Okay. So moving on, some of our professors were really awesome and they rocked online teaching. They were like, even some of the older professors where I was kind of like, oh my gosh, like you're not gonna be able to use this. They did really well, but overall it was like a really good experience in terms of teaching over Zoom. And then my classmates and I were able to discuss any issues we had with professors in our cohort group chat, which I highly recommend. I love the cohort group chat. I love seeing what people were saying. I loved hearing like the drama in class. Like I loved the, you know, this is very sinful, but I love the gossip, you know, it was great. Not about each other. It was about like the professors and the administration. And I'm like, girl, like tell me more. So, okay, let's move back to this. My hand is hurting. So eventually I did start taking on more responsibilities, as I've kind of mentioned, including a little one. So that made studying and that kind of thing a lot harder, but my family was so great and supportive. I was originally intending to adopt this little one, and my family was like, I don't think you can handle this because you're already struggling and we're helping you, so maybe we adopt her. But I don't know if I can say anything more. There may be another one that we're adopting soon, my fiance and I, but we'll see. I don't know that that's for sure. It's just, you know, I don't know. We'll see. But my family was really great about everything. And then my fiance was also really helpful when he came along. He's not as like a full babysitter like my parents and grandparents are. My parents and grandparents and my sister like are always there. My fiance lives, you know, 2 hours away from me, so he wasn't obviously babysitting for me, but he did help kind of keep her away when I needed her to be out of the room, you know? So I didn't personally, I'm not a social extroverted person, but I didn't find it harder to connect with classmates in a hybrid format. Everyone was super nice and like reached out to each other as needed. And we were often put in like Zoom rooms to get to know each other. And then when we went into those in-person classes, as much as I hated them, I do feel like we all got closer and got to know each other better. So my biggest regret, and I'm hesitating to say this because I'm afraid that this person I'm about to discuss will retaliate because they are, you know, they are just that kind of person. But I want to talk about this. I don't want to like bash people, but I don't know. It's just my biggest regret, and it's something that I want to talk about because I don't want other, especially young women, getting into this trap. My biggest regret from this whole experience is dating a male classmate the first 2 years of my law school experience. He did end up trying to sabotage some things in my law school experience, as well as me taking the bar, and my personal life, which was the final straw for me. Anyways, that being said, this is not to bash him. This is just saying I would not date someone. I was like, I'm different. Like, we get along so well. We're never going to break up. We're perfect, blah, blah, blah. I didn't realize, like, I think I was so blinded by love that I didn't even realize the kind of person that he was and what he would do to me. I never ever would have guessed, you know, starting out, and people were like, don't date a classmate, don't date a classmate, don't date a classmate. And I was like, no, we're different. And, you know, maybe some people are. I think there are definitely couples that meet in law school and they date and it's fine and it's great. But like 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work. And you're probably not different. And I know that you're like in love and it's so, so hard in the moment. I know. I was there. I know how hard it was because I tried not to do it and I still ended up doing it. But like, I don't care how in love you are. Just wait. Wait until law school's over. If you guys are still like on good terms, you guys are still friends, you're not dating anybody, you know them fully after like 3-4 years, however long it is, then date. Don't date in law school because it's just going to mess things up. It's going to ruin study groups. It's not good, right? So That being said, the reason I really regret that is not, I think it was a really good learning experience for me. I think it helped me grow up a lot and figure out what I wanted in a partner and it helped me develop really strong boundaries and self-respect. And I ended up finding someone who respected my boundaries and who treated me the way that I now know I deserve to be treated, and doesn't treat me, in the way I was treated. And I allowed that to happen. And I am very disappointed in myself because I said I would never be that kind of woman and allow that to happen to me. I'm gonna start crying. Like, why am I crying? But God got me through it, and I know better now, and I'm really grateful for that experience, as hard as it was. And it was really, really hard at times, but I think I would have been better off forming close friendships with the females in my cohort earlier on. They are so sweet, and I know this now. They are amazing. They are strong. They are sweet. They are supportive. They are just, there's so many godly women in my cohort, and I could have had these amazing, sisters in Christ, right? And I could have had that encouragement and support and love from the beginning. And I chose him over them, and that hurts me, and that's disappointing to me. But I essentially, they tried to be friends with me, and they tried to be really nice to me from the beginning. And I feel like I was mean to them. I was rude to them because I just wanted to be with him. I didn't want anything to do with those girls. I just wanted to be with him. And I really wish that I would have put more time and energy into getting to know those women and building close friendships with them. And I'm really grateful that they didn't hold that against me, and that they continue to reach out and be kind to me, and they have continued to do so. But at the same time, I'm where would I have been had I just, accepted their kindness early on and given it back to them instead of being a butt about it, right? So yeah, that was my biggest regret. Don't do that. Just be friends with the girls in your cohort. If you're a girl, it's so much better. It's so much better. And I wish I would have done it from the start. My life would be so much better right now. All right. So moving on to law review. I did do law review virtually, and I didn't think it was difficult. We did do everything on Zoom, which I preferred because I feel like I was way more efficient. You don't have to, okay, come to the library at 6:00 and we're going to read line by line this comment and do this. And people are snacking and taking bathroom breaks. I mean, I'm sure people eating and taking bathroom breaks, but on Zoom, it just felt better. It just felt like we got in the Zoom room, we did it, we knocked it out, and we were out, right? And then for externships, I didn't do moot court. Also, I just didn't want to. I didn't even, what is it? I'm thinking audition. Is it audition? Is it try out? I didn't try for moot court, so I didn't do it, but I know that it did exist. A couple of my classmates did it. I think they actually won something, but I'm not sure. I don't keep up on that, so I'm sorry. Those girls know who they are. I'm sorry. You guys are amazing. You did great. I just don't know anything about it. I'm sorry. So moot court is possible. I just didn't do it. I secured my externship through personal in-person connections, which I think most of my classmates did. They did it at their place of work, or they had connections in real life that they did their externships at. I didn't do mine through my place of work. I was lucky enough to go through an adoption process with an attorney who, my family developed a strong relationship with her. And then I don't know how much I can say. There's somebody else that we are close with that worked at the law office. I can't say anything else. I'm so nervous. I'm gonna say more than I can, or that I should, right? But it was so nice too, because I got that through those personal connections, and I'm so, so grateful. And it was the best externship ever. I could not have asked for a better externship. The attorney I worked under was freaking girl boss. I want to be her one day. She was amazing, but she wasn't totally, looking over my shoulder. She was okay, this is what you're going to do, and you're going to give it back to me. And it was terrifying. But I was okay, I'm going to write you a memo about tort law. about this client's case. And I don't know if I'm doing this right. And she sat down and she talked me through it. And she was like, I feel like she boosted my confidence, but she also was like, you clearly are, you know, don't think you know what you're doing, and you have like this imposter syndrome, which everyone does. And you just gotta like, you know what you're doing. Like, I left you alone. I let you do this stuff and you did it right. So like, have more confidence, which really helped, honestly. It really did. My confidence was like after that externship. And then the person that we know that works there, did I say she works as a paralegal? Because she does not work there as a paralegal. She is, I am not going to say what she is. She worked there. And she was like so sweet, and she was constantly looking out for me and just amazing. Like, all the women there were just so great. Like, I knew those two women before, so they were obviously more communicative with me and checked in on me more. But like, all the women that, like, I just love women in law. Like, it was amazing. Everyone was so sweet and nice to me and supportive. It was great. And then my second externship that I did, I just found it online and applied. And it was virtual and it wasn't for credit. It was just like an extra externship. So check out the LinkedIn or whatever. I would 100% choose this hybrid program again, especially since so much started happening in the middle of law school. And I think maybe if you're in a different situation, that won't happen to you. If you're a traditional residential student, you won't have those unforeseen circumstances. But I know somebody who's residential who switched to hybrid because they got married and got pregnant and moved like halfway across the world or halfway across the nation in the middle of law school. And she had to switch to hybrid because you never know what's going to happen, you know? So I liked it because it allowed me to be flexible when things did start happening. And I needed to be home. I needed to be home to help out and to watch the little one. One of my dogs started having seizures and needed medicine every 8 hours. So, you know, I had to be there to give her medicine sometimes. So I could not be in class 8 hours a day, 5 days per week, and then driving, you know, an hour there and back, right? However, there's a however, right? I do think you have to be super disciplined and self-motivated to do a program like this. That is one thing that I don't personally have a problem with. That sounds really braggy, but I'm not trying to be braggy. I think my thing is like, I genuinely, this sounds again braggy, but I genuinely push myself to the point of illness, which is why I'm sick today, you know? So I think I take it a little bit too far. I'm a little too extreme. But I think if you're disciplined and you're self-motivated and not so extreme that you push yourself to get sick, you'll be fine. I didn't have any problems with this, with like the format and stuff. I felt like it was pretty decent. I think there were some people in the class who kind of struggled with, based on what they were telling me, they kind of struggled with like not doing things at the last minute. They wanted to do things at the last minute, which I get. But they still got it done. They still are graduating. So it's like, you know, you don't need to be doing, I was like the first one to get the stuff done every week and people were like making fun of me. But I was like, I just want to get it out of the way. I don't want to worry about it. So I do think that most people who go to law school are, you know, self-motivated and disciplined. But I did see a little bit of a difference in the work ethics between the residential students who were around my age and then my hybrid classmates who are typically a little bit older or more experienced. I did have one girl who was like, I think like 6 months older than me. So she was in my age range. She was, you know, my age technically. But yeah. So I would definitely say like the residential students, I felt like they needed a little bit more push. Whereas the hybrid students, I just felt like they, and this could be biased, but you know, I felt like they were kind of like going out and doing stuff on their own a little bit more, and they didn't need that push as much. So, yeah, this is a super long video, but that is my law school experience overall. It was hard at times, but I'm happy with it, and I'm happy with most of the decisions I made. I'm happy with the decisions I made that I didn't like because, you know, they brought me closer to God, and they honestly brought me to my fiance, and I am so, like, so blessed and happy right now because I'm literally sitting in my house that I share with my fiance, and, like, I'm getting married in like 2 months. I'm like, what? So it all worked out for the best. But just keep pushing on and trust in God, and everything will be fine. It seems like it takes forever in the moment, but once it's over, you're like, that was nothing. So yeah, I hope this helped. I hope this was entertaining. But yeah, thanks for watching.